completely different.
Whoa! Happy Hot Topic!
Hello and welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton.
I'm Charlie Nath.
And our guest today has a memoir out called Undercover Heartbreak, a memoir of trust and trauma. The author...
Why does every heartbreak book that a woman writes have to be trauma?
Koryeah Dwanyen. Is that correct?
You failed, Charlie.
Oh, no. Correct me. How do you pronounce your name?
Koryeah Dwanyen. So just a little bit more relaxed, more emphasis on the Y and a natural flow.
Love it, love it. Well, in the memoir, you revealed many things. I mean, the big news coming out of your memoir has been this little invitation to shack up with a Secret Service agent.
Yeah, I talked about this girl before. You noticed she was waiting to write this book. She literally has nothing else. I talk like Mike Tyson, to provide to this world. But talking about hooking up with a Secret Service agent. And this is why dating in 2024 is so frightening. Going on 2025 is all these women speak out after the relationship is done. That's the one thing I like about boomers and dating older women is I'm not saying I want a woman to keep her mouth shut. I think women should be allowed to talk. I'm not sexist in that way. But there's sometimes a way that, like, when you do something, maybe you don't need to be famous off of it.
At Barack Obama's vacation home in Hawaii. But yeah, I know there's a lot more involved, so we're going to get into it. Welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
Welcome, Koryeah.
Thank you for having me, Charlie and Charlie.
Woo, woo. Okay, so kind of like Charlie said, big headlines came out of your memoir, which just came out in October. You talked about how in 2022, this agent, Secret Service agent, you were talking to romantically. He had basically invited you to come and...
Yeah, you did.
Get down with him when he was overseeing President Obama's house in Hawaii when they were not there, when the Obamas were not there. So break it down for us. What exactly happened?
So the invitation wasn't to come and get down in her bathroom. We were dating at the time, and I visited him in Hawaii, where he was there for a couple weeks on their detail. And so the invitation initially was to just come and hang out, watch football. He was working at the time.
She fell for that bait. No guy ever wants to watch football with a girl.
And I declined several times. He was definitely insistent on me joining him, reassuring that he was there alone. And, and me, naturally, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable being in someone's house, especially that status of a home, without an invite from them. And I expressed that and expressed some concern that I could potentially get in trouble and that it just felt gross.
And now you want to talk about it for clout.
And he reassured me that it was okay and that if anything, I wouldn't be the one to get in trouble. It would be him because he was allowing me on the property. So
did at any point, did he kind of insinuate that he wanted to have sexual activity, or did he only say, oh, we're just hanging out? How did that all happen?
Not prior to arriving at the home.
Well, she fell for that. A round of applause for falling for the bait. I'm not saying a guy can't be friends with a girl. But if they're inviting you to a house, what do you think you're doing? Playing chess?
And as you know, I kind of explain it a little bit in the book, whereas we're sitting in it's called the command center.
You can just tell us all the info now. We're not going to read the book.
Room, watching football at the time. And it was after the tour of the property and someone had showed up and it was just a little bit of a disaster. And I was really uncomfortable and ready to go. And yeah, we were sitting on the sofa. It's like a sofa seat, but they're separated almost like individual chairs in this particular sofa. And the ask was, hey, we had previously talked about it the night before, kind of just like our individual desires, sexual desires. And he used that one as an opportunity to establish sort of like the Mile High Club credential.
So you're referring to when he asked you if you wanted to have sex in Michelle Obama's bathroom, aren't you?
I don't get bathroom sex, by the way. It's because I'm so big. But it's like, I'm good. This woman must fall for it all the time.
Yes.
And so he was inviting you over to watch football, and then you were like, I don't know. But at a certain point, you agreed and you went over and you watched football, and then he sort of propositioned you further. And then so how does the rest of sort of the afternoon play out?
I was ready to go.
This is what I don't get. If you're ready to go, leave. Nobody forced you. Nobody forced you to go. I've had plenty of dates where the girl cancels halfway through and goes, like one time I was on a date at Applebee's and the girl was like pretending to get a call. I had to go pick up my friend at the airport and I wasn't mad at her. Whatever. She missed out on me. But what I'm saying is leave. The same thing with Brianna Chicken Fry. Oh, I lost a part of myself. Well, leave then. Nobody's forcing you to stay.
After that, I said no. Like, let's just set the record straight. No.
So no chaka happened when you were there.
Absolutely not. I felt uncomfortable. And if you read the book, you'll know that I felt uncomfortable. And at that moment, I was like, I'm ready to go. He called me an Uber. And then some things happened that were major red flags, obviously, in the command center. But also when I was stepping into the Uber asked for a person by the name of Richard. And I assumed that it was the wrong Uber, wrong person. And I kind of looked back like freakishly, like, what's going on? And he said, it's me, like, just get in the car. And I was like, your name's not, like, super uncomfortable. And he ended up calling me because he sensed that I was, one, I was ready to get out of there. It was super uncomfortable. And then two, I recognized that he had an alias. He called me.
Whoa, someone in the Secret Service not using their real name? Whoa. Gullible.
He gave you a fake name all along.
So he gave the Uber a fake name. And then I later learned that was sort of his separate personality. Richard was... So things unfold after where this Richard sort of comes out to play in several incidents. Whereas, so it's
because you refer to him as Dale in the book, don't you?
Yes, that's a pseudonym.
Have you heard from Dale since the books came out?
I have not.
Okay.
I wouldn't reach out to her either. What are you going to say? You're a cloud chaser?
Okay. And after that incident that day in Hawaii, did you guys stay in touch for a time?
Yeah, we were in a relationship up until April.
April of this year.
April of 2023.
Okay.
Oh, so she's a bitter ex. Got it.
Got it.
Okay. So how did the relationship start to deteriorate from that moment because, of him being a Secret Service, trying to get you to do things that you knew were going to be like against the law, probably?
No, ironically, no, it did not end at that point. There were several things that built up to the ending of the relationship, whereas it was pretty traumatic, I will say. And one thing that I do want to clear up is that the Secret Service was not aware that I was in the Obama's home until after we broke up. And this was after a series of events happened where, I don't know if I can say this on live, but like suicidal threats were made.
Wow.
There were outlandish threats of, taking several individuals' lives. And at that point, I was concerned for not just like my safety and the safety of my family, the safety of his family, as well as his life. And so I, in fact, reached out to the authorities and I reached out to his boss.
This is why you got to be careful, gentlemen. You got to be careful who you sleep with, who you date. You really got to read the room. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not trying to be like, come off sexist or incel, like we can't trust women. But you really got to see the behavior of what these girls do. Listen, if you are dating somebody who talks badly about other men, and is always spilling the tea, they're going to do the same to you. And I bet you he'd experience that with her.
and let him know some of the events that took place. And Dale was very much aware of that. We were actually on the phone when I was emailing his boss to let him know a lot of the things that had transpired.
Hey, can I rat on you some more and ruin your life some more? And this woman probably wonders why she's single. You can't be trusted.
And the natural flow was Secret Service came out to interview me. It was about a 4-hour interview at a Starbucks, 10 minutes away from my house. So it's very intense and traumatizing.
Wow.
Everybody uses this word traumatizing. It was uncomfortable. To me, trauma is like finding a parent dead or finding a pet dead, or maybe getting into a car crash and the person that you hit maybe becomes paralyzed. Being yelled at because you broke the rules is not traumatizing. I'm sorry.
So I just want to go back to, him inviting you over to watch football. What was the process like to get into the house? And when you got in, were there like family photos hanging up? Like, set the scene for us about how it was when you first arrived.
I don't know that I want to share that.
But you shared everything else. So why are you holding back now? Maybe you should have taken the advice and not done this interview at all.
I feel like that's personal for them.
But it's personal that you're talking about this in general. I love that. Oh, but that's too far. Talking about everything else, that's fine. What an imbecile.
Did you feel like icky when you were there? Like you were in somebody's personal home?
Yeah, I already established that.
I'm
Shut up.
surprised, that there weren't like cameras everywhere. Security,
like ring cameras.
He's
or
just one
something.
guy, and then I would have thought they'd have more security than that.
There's very much a lot of security. And so that's where, the proposition came for that particular area where there were no cameras. And I don't know the process of if there's a secondary or third person or third party or something like that evaluates or looks at the camera and the imagings and the folks that are there. But there's definitely cameras that are present throughout the entire property.
That makes me think that it might be a larger issue than just Dale, that there would be other people who are aware of that situation.
I'm glad he's defending Dale at some point. Dale's just trying to get laid.
Maybe other situations, if they're allowing Dale to do something like that, maybe it's an issue within the entire Secret Service. I don't know.
Do you think other Secret Service agents maybe get down secretly when they're put in charge of taking care of vacant homes like that?
That's not for me to speculate.
Oh, but you'll speculate on everything.
Right.
She's beginning to realize that she should not have done this interview.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like, there should be somewhat of a investigation into it all. Your incident, obviously they investigated and deemed accurate your account of what happened that day. But if that happened, it makes me wonder there might be other things happening as well, and they should do a complete sort of investigation into it all.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
Is that
You're on TMZ. Talk.
a possibility? I can only speak to my situation.
Would you ever date a Secret Service agent again?
I don't want to generalize, but you know how people are like, oh, I don't want to date a Sagittarius or
Yeah.
Oh, she's one of those talking about horoscopes. I despise anybody, any gender, that I can't date that person because of their horoscope sign. No, you're just saying you don't want to date the person, but you don't have the guts to just go out and say it. This woman's very fake. I would not trust her with anything.
somebody in Chicago, I would not.
How? Sorry, go on.
No, I saw some things. So no, I would definitely not. I hate generalizing, but I wouldn't date another
You are generalizing, though.
agent.
How do you even meet a Secret Service agent?
You have not read the book, Charlie.
I haven't. I'm here.
And we're not going to. So just tell us. No one's going to read it, besides bitter women that want to find a reason to hate men.
I'm here to get the plug.
Yeah, so we met in Martha's Vineyard. I I knew he was an agent at the time. I was there with some girlfriends on vacation. There was an alum week, and we had a final night at this beautiful restaurant. Gardy says probably, don't mention our name ever again. This restaurant called Guard East, and we had a reception there. And it was beautiful. We were all socializing, having cocktails, appetizers. It was beautiful out. And in walks this swarm of men in suits at the time. And we were all just kind of like, why are you invading our space? Who are these people? And then lo and behold, we realized Michelle, Barack, and other celebrities were also in it, like coming into attendance. And the restaurant there's like two different buildings, and it connects by a bridge, and there's a little outside atrium. And so the Obamas and the other folks were on the other side of us. And then we figured out that's how we met. And so I can tell a little bit more about how we were introduced if you want, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just interested. I don't meet many Secret Service people So I'm just, it's interesting, like just meeting one and then becoming romantically involved with someone who's got such a special,
high profile, job.
Interesting, but as a secret, obviously, job. Yeah. Go into a little bit more detail.
Keyword on secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my girlfriend was actually taking photos of the event, and she's very introverted, very shy, not one to just go up to random individuals and start talking to them. I'm a bit more extroverted. I'm in sales, and so that's just
so you're fake.
Kind of my personality. She asked me if I would go over to the agent and ask him if I could take photos, or if she could take photos with Barack and the president of the the university, sort of like a president meet president photo. And I went over to him, asked him, started talking, having conversation with him. He was attractive, and the conversation flowed. I grabbed his left hand. My girlfriends yelled at me in the back, like, what are you doing? You're going to get shot. And I was like, he's like, what are you doing? And he yanks his hand back. And I said, I was looking for an indent, a tan line, any indication that
she liked the status.
You were married or spoken for. And he said, I would tell you something like that. And I was like, oh, well. Nah,
he was lying. He was just trying to have sex with you.
History has proven that that's a lie. And long story short, he ended up, the Obamas left. They were going to the film festival. And I screamed at him in this atrium like a crazy person.
Because you are a crazy person. Mm-hmm. And you can't be trusted.
To add me to Facebook.
Okay.
There's not really a way to add me to Facebook because you don't know how to say my name or out loud. And he ended up walking around Circuit Avenue and ran into a bunch of my friends that had on alumni gear, asked them if they were at the reception tonight at Guard East, and they were looking at him like, yeah, what? And he goes, where's Coco? And so they were more concerned, like, what in the hell? Like, why are you asking for Coco? And it was to get in contact with me. And
aww,
great. This is actually amazing. This should be a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
It starts out very sort of serendipitous and Hallmarky cute, and then it turns.
And I know.
I wonder if she ever realizes that she might be the problem and gullible. She's one of those where she seems like she has problems and she just tosses it off to it's everybody else's fault.
I know you said, after the whole incident, you guys did date for some time after. Ultimately, you broke up, and you haven't spoken to him since the memoir was released in October.
He's got to be freaking out that this cloud chaser keeps babbling like a cackling hen.
Do you have any idea what he's doing for a job now? Because, it was confirmed that somebody with the very similar story that you told was fired. So assuming he was fired from his Secret Service job, do you know what he does for work now?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I would block her so quickly. I'd be like, bye, get out of here. I don't care how pretty you are. You're another skeleton that's going to die someday.
Do you know what his feelings are about you publishing this book?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Funny enough, this book has been in the works for quite some time now. And when we were dating, he was aware that I was writing the book.
Oh, so no wonder they broke up. He probably realized she was using him for attention halfway through. She has no shame. I'd be embarrassed if I were her.
What? He was aware you were writing a book about your relationship with him, telling details.
No. He wasn't aware that I was writing a book about him. He was aware that I was writing a book about my life.
And she was realizing her life was not that interesting. So then she's like, let me talk about somebody else for clout.
Which would include him.
No, not at the time. I mean, there was
not at the time. I was realizing the book wasn't good. And I was like, let me do some naughty things to get attention to write the book.
Nothing traumatic that I would want to include him in that. He knew the baseline of the story. And ultimately, I wanted it to be a happy ending to include him. But yeah, he was very much aware that I was writing a book at the time that we were together.
Before you came along in, the first beginning parts of like the love story, do you think before you, maybe he did this same thing with like other women? Like, do you think this was like his go-to move? Like, hey, All
right, I've had enough. I don't need to hear her because then she's just going to go, I don't know. I just know what happened to me. As I've gotten older, I really look around and see the type of woman the person is when you're talking to them. If they ask what you do for a living, how much money you make, the perks you can get from your job, that is a clout chaser. That is not somebody you date. And she is the perfect example. She is patient zero of clout chasers.
Happy hour. Happy hour.